So hi, this is one of our videos that we're running as part of the Law Careers series. I'm Emily, I'm the Careers Advisor for the School of Law, Criminology and Government, and today I'm joined by one of our alumni, really successful alumni, Eleanor, who is from the Law Degree Programme. Eleanor, hello.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you studied and when you graduated?
Yes, so I graduated last summer in 2018 from the LLB Law Programme. And I'm now studying at London College of Fashion, doing an MA in Fashion Design Management.
Great, thank you. So like you say, you're currently studying the MA in Fashion Design in London at the London College of Fashion. Can you tell me a little bit more about that experience and actually what influenced you to choose that Masters as the programme to take on after your degree study?
So I think it was halfway through second year I decided that being a solicitor or a barrister was not the job for me.
Right.
I'd done various work experiences and tried lots of different things out, and people kept saying you have to keep trying to find out your niche in law. And the more and more I thought about it, I thought, is law really for me?
Mm.
So in my final year, I had an environmental law piece of coursework, and I thought, right, how can I make this really interesting? Let's write it about a massive niche, really write a risky piece of coursework and see if it pays off. So I did write my environmental law coursework on the impact of fast fashion. Then later on in the year, I did a piece of human rights coursework based on the Rana Plaza disaster, which happened 6 years ago, which was a factory collapsing in Bangladesh. So I kind of linked law and fashion as much as I could.
Right. So the key things you've brought up there are, whilst you're actually studying, you're quite actively thinking about what next. And you said you kind of took on a range of experiences to find out what was for you, if you knew that you were feeling that being a solicitor or a barrister wasn't for you. What kinds of experiences did you take on whilst you were studying to help you make your decisions?
So I spent a week at Wolfston's in the clinical negligence department because I thought that I was really interested in medical law. I loved hospitals. I really thought it would be a great experience. And I did have a fantastic week. The staff were amazing and really looked after me. But I then came away from it thinking, is this really the focus I want? I was also vice president of the Law Society. This kind of opened so many doors for me because this kind of showed me, actually, you don't have to be a solicitor or barrister from a law degree. You can really do anything. And I think the Law Society run annual Choose and Wine events, and we really pushed the boat out and tried to invite different people, not just solicitors and barristers. And I think that kind of, again, showed me that you can really do something completely different.
And really interestingly, being that in that Law Society role, people might think, I've got to want to do law to be part of the Law Society. But actually, the roles that you're taking on are like social secretary or president or treasurer. So it's the skills that you get from those roles. It's not just the role itself.
Yeah, skills are so important. Yeah. So when I was secretary in my second year, the treasurer, Meg, has gone on to be a teacher.
Yeah.
You don't have to go, and she's obviously learned a lot about money and then gone on to teaching. It's given her complete skills in anything that can be really applicable. And I think being vice president, I had to deal with disputes and I had to solve loads of problems. These are like key skills that I need in the fashion industry every day. So you might have a problem where you've sent some samples to a factory in China and they've been stopped by customs. This happened to me on Friday.
Right.
And I've got an issue. I'm like, I need to get this made within a week. But they haven't got the samples, they've only got the fabrics. What am I going to do? And because I've kind of trained my brain throughout all of my last 4 years at uni, that I've kind of become a problem solver.
So it's not just the skills, they might feel like they're legal skills, but actually they're much broader than that. Problem solving, even high level administration. I mean, how did you find just the level of study, so the level of kind of interrogation you put into a law degree, the level of discussion and the kind of political nature of it as well. How much does that help you now in terms of being able to deal with complex issues?
So I think it's really important in general life skills as well as at work. People always ask me whether it's something to do with their landlord or whether it's something to do with a customs issue. They kind of come to me because they think I have even if I don't have the specific knowledge about that subject area, I still have the kind of skills to be able to solve the issue. And I think research-wise, especially for my MA, I'm up here, whereas people from other degrees are here because research is so important in law.
Yeah.
And I also worked as a rep for LexisNexis, the legal database,
Right.
which is used across all universities. And that really equipped me with like a higher level of skill using the database and being able to research really efficiently, which has really helped me cut down the time it takes to research now, definitely.
Great. We'll revisit some of the things that you did on your degree, because I know there's a lot more, and I remember you as a student across your whole time here, you're always like, Emily, I'm doing this. So we'll come back to some of that. Let's focus a little bit more on your master's programme and the actual study that you're doing. So it's quite a broad topic, which is fashion design management. Do you have a specific focus in your study that you've already talked about? Right, in my sustainability module, I wanted to make it particular to me. What are you doing now that makes it niche?
So I'm really, really focused on sustainability. It's quite clearly from anywhere that you read about fashion, sustainability is a huge problem. And for example, Stacey Dooley's documentary on the BBC just highlighted, for example, massive water use issues in the industry. I think sustainability is so key, and it's such a forthcoming kind of job, because nobody works in sustainability at the moment. It's very limited, but we need people to know about sustainability and fashion in the future. So I'm trying to be ahead of the game and become as knowledgeable as possible, so that then I can apply those skills to really help young businesses, because young designers is something that I really want to focus on.
So young designers, sustainability. You've mentioned there as well, kind of getting ahead of the curve. That can be quite scary, can't it? Thinking, well, we know that there's jobs that are going to be out there that don't exist now. So I think that future proofing is something I would always encourage. So for you to say, you know, there's not a lot of people there now, but I'm trying to get as knowledgeable as possible, particularly, which is kind of what law is about, is helping those people that don't have the knowledge or expertise that you have. It's a way to use it for good, isn't it? So what do you have any particular professional focus at the moment? Do you have a job role or a career area that you see that this is all working towards?
So there's a few really powerful women in sustainability jobs at the moment.
Right.
For example, the sustainability manager at Stella McCartney and the sustainability manager of the Caring Group.
Right.
They are women that I really am inspired by and I look up to, and they are obviously top of their field because they're in those amazing jobs. So that's something that I really aspire to at the moment, and I'm really looking to those women to carve out a future in sustainable fashion.
How important is it to you, do you think, or any person, to have those role models?
I think it's completely crucial. I think in law sometimes, if you look at law on a general scale, it's quite easy to not have a role model. And I think speaking to people and learning about people and choosing somebody from a specific niche to be your role model is so important. I wish that I'd almost chosen that earlier.
Right.
Definitely.
So, because we talk a lot about networking when you're in your undergraduate, and I think it can be hard to understand what that really means until you're doing it. But networking is having a mentor, or it is having that role model. So do you have any advice for undergraduates who are thinking that they're interested in the sector, but they're not really sure how to identify people that might be able to influence them or support them? Any advice for identifying those people in industry?
I think what's so important is any opportunity you have to network, just go and talk to people, not particularly from a legal perspective. So I got it really, really wrong at my first Cheese and Wine. I thought you go to these things and you ask for work experience in the most subtle way possible. That is genuinely what I thought you had to do, and I couldn't have been more wrong. But by second year, I just went in, chatted to anybody, not necessarily people I'd recognised or looked up before, and had really random conversations. And I still do that now, because it's all about personality and interest. It's not about work experience or an end goal. So for example, I went to a catwalk last weekend, didn't know anybody there, didn't know what to do. Overheard this conversation of somebody talking about their tortoise coming out of hibernation. And my tortoise, I have a tortoise, also come out of hibernation. I thought, right, this is my in.
Yes.
Ready, let's go. Completely random, has nothing to do with fashion. Walked out, had 2 business cards. Somebody emailed me the next day to ask for a piece of advice, all just because of my tortoise. So I think listening to people and just engaging and going in as you, not as you who has an end goal to get work experience, just as a person who's interesting and interested.
I think that's absolutely key, in that really the work experience, the job, the knowledge are the end goal. They're the end game. What matters is people. And whether you're a CEO or literally a first year student, it's about finding common places. Like everybody will have that common place of interest. So I think finding those and just realising everybody's a human is really key. But being also clever, like listening to what people are saying, you heard about the tortoise, so that was your in. And I think being really clever, and that's where LinkedIn can really help, like looking at people's profiles. But so yeah, really good advice in terms of just finding some common ground and not using networking opportunities to get something out of them, but just going to talk to people and getting used to it. That's really good advice. Have you had any professional experience actually as part of your degree, or I'm sure there's been a range, so maybe some experiences that you've put yourself in that have not been about academic study but more about industry kind of professional development?
Definitely. At LCF they really encourage it. So I only have uni for 2 days a week,
right,
on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So I have 3 free days, which I'm very much full up. So I, at the moment, am working for Rayburn. I'm an intern there. In the production team, so I essentially help out with anything the production team needs, whether it's trying to come up with a solution for this issue of customs in China taking our samples away for no known reason, or whether it's our fabric hasn't arrived, or whether it's the other day. Rayburn is a sustainable designer, so everything that they make is either remade, recycled, or reduced waste and reduced energy. So a lot of their things are remade. So of course, if you're buying in parachute and it arrives completely stained, because it's obviously been used, how are you supposed to make something out of it that's due to the customer a week later?
Right.
So there's constant issues, but it's really exciting because you literally never know what's going to arrive in that box. You never know what's coming through the door.
Yeah.
In the morning I turn up and I never know what my day is going to be filled with, so it's very exciting. I also worked for... I really wanted to get involved in London Fashion Week.
Yeah, great.
So I did an internship for British designer Richard Quinn, which is very exciting, especially because he's just dressed 5 celebrities for the Met Gala last week, which was amazing.
Yeah, wow.
I was thinking, oh, I recognise that dress.
Yeah.
Because I literally worked with the fabrics in February. So that was amazing to do my first show, be backstage while Freya Ridings, she sang amazingly, and it was a really haunting show, and all the famous models coming out and you're dressing them. So yeah, that was an amazing experience.
And I think the real key thing to take from your story here is you're not from a fashion background. You know, you've almost had a career change, if you like, even though you're such a young person. You know, I think the message is really important that your degree gives you a platform, doesn't it, to progress. So how have you gone about finding those professional experiences? How have you managed to get yourself in?
So I can't say it was easy.
No.
It definitely wasn't. I went in September, I'm the youngest person on my course, and I'm the only person with no industry experience.
Right.
And some of the other people were really surprised that I'd got onto the course because I have no industry experience, but obviously I've written extensively and my dissertation was my undergraduate dissertation was published.
Right.
That really gave me a big push up to getting onto this course. So I really felt at a loose end at the start of the year because I didn't have any experience, and you need experience to get experience. So I was really stuck in this loop. So I went to this careers fair at the start of the year and I met an agent, and he said, I'm an agent, we work with luxury fashion houses. And I thought, oh my gosh, this sounds amazing, sign me up. So I went for an interview with him, and the next day I had my first shift at Stella McCartney.
Wow.
Working in retail. Nothing happens slowly in fashion. Everything happens instantly at the click of a finger, honestly, so quickly. And then within a month, my agent had got me a Christmas temp job at Louis Vuitton in Harrods. So I spent the whole of the Christmas there, selling very expensive monogrammed bags and monogrammed clothes to very rich clients.
Yeah. So you're kind of accumulating experience through context, but actually you just were like, I'm a bit of a loose end, I'm just going to go to the careers fair, get talking to people. Interestingly, you said like everything in fashion works really quickly. So do you think you have to, that's the thing you have to be ready for, is to be available and to say yes and put yourself out there?
I think saying yes is crucial, and it's something I need to hold back on slightly.
Right.
I'm very much, I say yes to everything. Sometimes you need to say no.
Yeah.
So probably I should not have taken this placement with Richard Quinn, because I had all of my deadlines within 2 weeks of starting the placement.
Right.
So it's really difficult trying to find balance, because there's so many opportunities and you want to take all of them, and when you take one, it opens more doors for you.
Yeah.
The more opportunity you take, the more doors that are open, the more you learn, the more people want to speak to you, want to come in contact with you, and I'm like, I only have so many hours in my day.
Yeah, it's really, the positive thing about it is you start small and things grow.
And really suddenly.
Yeah.
So as soon as I had finished at Louis Vuitton, suddenly I had fashion on my CV. Suddenly I was an interesting person, because not only people, I think, didn't understand what I was doing in September. They were like, who is this person who's got a first-class law degree? Why are they trying to get into fashion and not be a solicitor? And I think that put people off, because they didn't understand. I needed to get to make the link. And working in retail, in luxury retail, was actually surprisingly the link, because then I applied to the Richard Quinn internship, and they thought, you're a really useful person to have around because you can solve our problems. And I was actually quite good at hand sewing for like the few hours before the show when we needed to finish everything really quickly.
Yeah.
But I think they found me, because you can apply your skills to anything, whether that's a bit of PR, some HR stuff, anything. You can almost just go in there and do anything to help them out. And
you kind of just have to believe that you can do it too. You have to have some faith in yourself.
Even if you know you can't do it, you just have to say,
sure, I've done that, yeah. I mean, my first job 10 years ago, I had to do loads on Excel, and I was like, yeah, sure, I can do Excel. Cue about 4 hours of YouTubing how to use pivot tables.
I'd love to say I haven't done that, but I have. Every single new job, right, what skills do they need on Excel? Quick, let's see if I can do an online course.
I mean, you have to be able to do the stuff at the end, and these are basic things, but if you can learn them and you've got a capacity to learn, there's not too much you can't do like that in a short space of time, and some of it is about belief in yourself. So how do you find your opportunities when you're at uni? Do they come through word of mouth? How did you find your internship?
A lot of fashion is word of mouth and talking to people.
Right.
So a lot of the contacts that I've had are word of mouth. I also use LinkedIn avidly.
Right.
So I'm a subscriber to all of the important fashion daily mails, such as Business of Fashion. And then I've recently downloaded the Pocket app. So in the morning, when I'm on the overground, before it goes underground and I lose signal, I download everything from Business of Fashion, add it to Pocket so you can read it offline.
Right.
Then you can share straight from Pocket onto LinkedIn.
Right.
Which is actually really useful, because I'm like, there's so many people who want to read this who might not have caught it in the morning, because the Business of Fashion probably published 10 articles in the morning, every morning at 5:30. And so there's not many people who can read that before work. And so when you share it on LinkedIn, key conversations can be started. So I think I've only started using LinkedIn really avidly in the last couple of months, but its impact can't be understated, really.
I think what's so important about what you're saying there is that you're not just, so you're talking about commercial awareness, essentially. Every student needs every professional person, not just students, need commercial awareness, and that is the understanding of industry, what's hot, what's not, what's affecting your industry. But what you're doing over and above that is sharing it. So you're becoming part of that conversation, you're becoming part of giving that knowledge to others. And I don't think you're ever too young, old, experienced, inexperienced to do that if you're interested in a sector. But staying on top of your industry and staying kind of linked in with no pun, with the people is really, really key. So getting to know those platforms and actually how you can be part of conversation is quite important, do you think? Yeah.
Definitely. And I also think another massive advantage of LinkedIn is if you tag people in your posts. So I've started posting about every little project that I'm doing at uni.
Right.
Because so for example, I'm doing this project in collaboration with the Centre for Sustainable Fashion and the Kering Group, all about how to integrate sustainable principles into ordinary fashion businesses. So my group is a collaborative unit, so I'm working with a photography student and a retail management student. So we're really looking at how to produce something with zero waste. So I put #0waste and then tagged the other 2 girls in it. I had 4 messages that night from people saying, oh, I'm really interested in zero waste pattern cutting. It's a massive issue for us. Great start for somebody to talk to about it. So we aim to do 2 interviews for this project. We've done 8.
Wow.
Just because people have come to us and said, I'd love to hear more about what you're doing. Even if they don't know it at the moment. They're still really crucial to us because it proves that people don't know about how to do zero waste pattern cutting, or how to use, we're looking at kind of using curves in fashion rather than straight edges, because then there's more waste fabric when you cut it. So people are just really interested, and they don't know that if you're just in your little bubble in the library. Not sharing what you're doing.
Sharing, dissemination, so important. And I think the key thing is that, you've got 8 people that you've interviewed, and they're representing this whole other raft of people that must be out there, because they're just the people you happen to have come across.
Yeah.
So it's really good to take the temperature of what you're interested in, and kind of good to know that what you're interested in is making a difference and is interesting. So you've talked about making the jump from law, thinking about how law has given you skills and expertise, and you're using your degree in lots of different ways. It's good to hear about little struggles at the beginning. I suppose aside from the study and the internships, how do you find living in London and making that move to London, being in the city? So living, affordability, people, the culture, how do you find that?
I think there's a certain kind of expectation when you move to London that, especially to study fashion, you're going to look nice all the time. You're going to be able to afford to look nice. You're going to go to rooftop cocktail bars after your day, working in fashion, looking at catwalks and all of this, and be afford to buy that £13 cocktail on this rooftop terrace.
Yeah.
And I think it hit me a lot harder in September, reality, than it should have. I'm not somebody who lives with their head in the clouds. I'm quite grounded.
Yeah.
But I kind of wanted to live that life, as well as just people thinking that you did live that life.
Right.
So I took on a job. I chose to live in University of the Arts London Halls, and I took on a job as a wellbeing rep. So essentially, UAL are looking for students who've already been to uni. They've already had the experience of living in halls, to support other students. So it's essentially like what Plymouth runs. We have RAs in Plymouth. They have wellbeing reps in London.
Right.
So it's a similar kind of role. So I live in halls. I'm there for support all the time if people need me. I facilitate yoga. On Sundays we run a lovely afternoon tea session so that people can just come for a chat, get out of their little bubble. Maybe it's sewing, maybe it's doing makeup, maybe they do prosthetics.
Yeah.
So many random things, and it's really good networking as well on a Sunday. If you need a photographer, pop down to afternoon tea. I'm sure you'll find one.
Yeah.
So I think that job's really, really helped me from a monetary perspective, because it's much needed, and they're one of the only jobs that actually pay London living wage, which is very much needed. And because all of the internships essentially that run in the fashion industry are unpaid. Right. That's one of the major issues. And I'm all for it when it's a learning experience, but sometimes you can get so wrapped up in it and you give so many hours of your day for no money, and you're not even learning anything. So I think it's trying to find the balance, but the wellbeing job has really helped me and hopefully helped other students.
Yeah, well, you're helping others, and I think the key thing you're talking about there is actually community, because yes, it's a job and you get paid, and I'm assuming it helps you with your rent as well. Yeah. Being in halls, that's quite common for all universities. So you've got a few things that are ticking the box financially, which has got to be realistic and important. But it also, in somewhere like London, I've lived in London, you can be surrounded by people and feel quite alone if you're new to the city. And so it sounds like it gives you the opportunity to build that community. And by being the rep, you're kind of at the centre of it. And also interesting about the network, that's other students are your network as well, which is great.
In the creative industry, networking cannot be understated. Like in other industries, it's important to network, but maybe you'll get a job. In fashion, you never ever work alone. Yeah. Essentially. I mean, which designer has ever launched his brand and he's done it all himself? Yeah. You can't walk London Fashion Week on your own. No. You need your models, you need your hairstylists, you need your makeup artists, you need all of your interns. You need people to, you need people to spray the latex so it's nice and shiny before they walk on. Yeah. You need all your set team, you need everybody all the time.
So it's about building that community, not just personally but professionally, means that you're just going to be so much more successful and sustainable in that sense of long term. All right, so we've covered a few topics. We're going to have a short break, and then we will come back and we will talk about much more about how you got to where you are and where you'd like to go in the future.